Chapter 35, Paintballs and Pictures. There were ridiculous things that people said. Annie Bell said to me on the bus, "They told me that if I sat too close to you, you'd melt my eyeballs out." "They're stupid." "I know," she said. "Just thought you'd want to know that you're now an eyeball melter." We both laughed. "So did you get in big trouble from yesterday?" "Not big trouble. I'm just supposed to stay in the yard again now." "Me too. They think there's a bear," I said. "I know. I heard about the meeting." She rolled her eyes. "They're so dramatic." Annie pulled out a spiral bound notebook from her backpack. She turned to a page where she'd drawn Marvin Gardens. It was better than every drawing I'd tried to make. "Dude, you're good," I said. She leafed through a lot of pages where there were failed drawings. It took me a while to get it right. I've been trying for 2 weeks and I haven't done anything that good at all. Tonight, Bernadette and I are going to take some pictures of him. Maybe I can draw him better then. She scowled. I wanted to get the first pictures. I know. I didn't even know how we'll get down there. My mom has us all on watch. Just show me the pictures if you get them, okay? I nodded. "Oh, and I thought of something," Annie said. She smiled. "Boardwalk." I had no idea what she was talking about. My face must have shown this. Mrs. Marvin's name. Boardwalk. What do you think? It was perfect. Not just the name, but Annie's grasp of irony. My first response was to say, "I love you," to Annie, not because I wanted to marry her or anything, but because she was like the little sister I never had, or the best friend I always wanted, and because she came up with the name Boardwalk. But boys can't go around saying "I love you" to other kids. Kind of sad if you asked me, but then again, I was the hippie, so I said, "I think it's just perfect." Mom greeted me with, "You still haven't been handing in your math homework." That wasn't quite right. I hadn't been doing my math homework, so of course I wasn't handing it in. The last time I saw it was at the bottom of my backpack, imitating the bellows of an accordion. "I'll get caught up," I said. "You'll sit here and get caught up right now," she said. "Dad's working until closing, so it's just the three of us for dinner." Bernadette wouldn't be home for another 2 hours because of softball, so I sat down and smoothed out the two math worksheets and stared at them. Something was different about Mom. She was never mad. She could be disappointed or sometimes sad, and she looked tired a lot, but she was never mad. "Are you mad at me?" "A little." "Are you mad at something else?" She sighed and sat down next to me at the kitchen table. I thought she was going to say something about the black bear or the melting stuff. Instead, she said, "I want you to do well in school. I want you to go to a good college and get a good job. Your father and I didn't have the opportunity to do that, you know? We want both of you to succeed." "Yeah, okay," I said. Mom was quiet for a while. Then she said, "They reduced my hours today at work again." "Oh, that stinks, Mom," I said. "I have to look for a new job. And what do I have? I don't have a big list of degrees or education on my resume. I don't have any skills really outside the jobs I already worked. Today, of all days, I want you to do better at school. I want you to understand, even though you're only in sixth grade, that this stuff actually matters." "I know, I really know it matters. I promise." "Good." She reached over and patted my hand, and something in the way she looked at me told me she hadn't told Dad yet. I knew why. Dad probably blah blah blahed to her about stuff too. No offense to him, but he had a knack for making things worse. "After I finish this, I'll get started on my science project. That way I'll be ahead." This was true. My science project involved me and Bernadette walking down to the river, now made more difficult by the fact that we weren't allowed to leave our backyard. "Good boy," she said. Bernadette wasn't in her bad mood anymore when she got home. "I'm starting in tomorrow's game," she said. Starting. Starting was a big deal. It was one thing to be a varsity freshman, but a starting varsity freshman? That was huge. "That's awesome," I said. "So are we taking that walk?" she asked. I told Mom it's my science project, and it kind of is, I guess. She pulled her phone from her pocket and said, "Let's do it." She went to call up to Mom, who was in her bedroom, but I stopped her. "You can't tell her. She thinks there's a bear down by the river. There was a meeting last night." "I heard about the meeting." "Let's just sneak down and get back as soon as we can," I said. "But there's no bear, right?" "No bear," I said. "Promise." As we walked Gilbrand Road down the hill, it was crowded with rush hour traffic, so I climbed up the bank into the dirt lots of Phase 3. Bernadette followed me. We walked on the edge of the bank until we got to the railroad tracks, and I told her we had to go back to the road until we came to the path to the river. Let me lead, I said. You just stay ready with the camera. She let me lead, and she kept saying these weird things like, the river is really beautiful, and I should come down here more often. Bernadette had always left the creek to me and Tommy, even when we were little, and she'd rather listen to her 1960s music and try to dance like they did back then, like she was imitating a tree and a wind or the ocean or something. As we got closer to the river, it smelled like river and a little bit like Marvin's scat. Bernadette said, "Oh, I take it back. It smells gross down here." The anti-erosion fencing was gone. Once I saw the brush blocking the path, I knew to walk up into the trees on the bank, and Bernadette followed me. I said, "Promise not to freak out when you see him, okay? Okay, it's not like Bigfoot or something, right? He's small, like a dog." I called out to Marvin and heard the talking noise he made. I was so relieved he was there. Bernadette and her camera were ready. I motioned for her to stay behind the den, and I went around to the other side. Marvin was in the doorway, but he wasn't himself. He had paint on his slimy skin. The splotch looked like someone had thrown paint at him, not like he'd been rolling in it or something like that. It was blue. I got a feeling of panic like on the day Tommy sucker punched me. "How'd you get that paint all over you, Marvin? Are you okay?" "Marvin?" Bernadette asked. Marvin stuck his snout in the air and sniffed. I said, "I brought my sister to meet you. Come out and say hello." He walked slowly out of the den and poked his head around to look at Bernadette. He wasn't moving right. He didn't have the right balance or something. She just stood there. "Pictures," I whispered. She stared at him. "Come on, give me the camera." She handed me the phone, and as Marvin walked slowly to meet her, I took as many pictures as I could. I could only see his blue side, so I moved up onto the bank. He didn't have any paint on the other side, so I took more pictures. Bernadette said, "What is he?" "I don't know." "Why is he blue?" "It's paint. He didn't have it on him yesterday." He still wasn't walking right. He was limping. Marvin burped. It smelled like sewage. Bernadette said, "That's disgusting." "He eats plastic." "No, he doesn't," she said. "I'm serious. That's how I met him, eating a plastic water bottle, and then a shopping bag. He eats any kind of plastic, really." I kept taking pictures of Marvin as he sniffed around Bernadette's shoes. He was moving a little faster now. "He's slimy," she said. "Yeah, he's got skin like algae." "Weird." Marvin kept made the talking sound, and I reached down and patted his head. "He's kind of ugly looking," Bernadette whispered. "He's just different," I said. I turned to Marvin. "What happened to the fencing, buddy? Did you get rid of it like I told you?" "Does he understand English?" Bernadette asked. "No." "So why are you talking to him like he does?" "He's my friend." "I worry about you." "I want to get pictures of the rest of the family," I said, and I moved toward the den. Bernadette stayed where she was. I took about 80 pictures in all, and I had time to scroll through them and make sure at least one of them would work for Ms. G when I talked to her about Marvin the next day. Some were blurry. The den was dark, but I didn't want to turn on the flash and freak out Boardwalk or the babies. While I was in the den, Marvin found a plastic cup to munch on. Bernadette watched him eat the cup with her hands over her ears and looked genuinely frightened. So I smiled at her, and she gave me a pained smile in return. "Mom's going to ring the dinner bell soon," I said. "So we just leave him here?" "This is where he lives." "But I thought you wanted to save him or something." "Man, what is that smell? It's so rank," she said. "I'll tell you on the way home," I said. I snapped a few pictures of Marvin eating the cup. The blue paint on his side looked painful. Does that look like somebody shot him with a paintball? The back of the stop signs all over the developments have the same marks, don't they? I know some of the girls on the team have boyfriends who do that kind of stuff. They go out in the woods and shoot each other with paintball guns and pretend to play war." "Oh," I said. "Now I get what a paintball is." I turned to Marvin. "Buddy, who shot you?" I looked back at Bernadette. "He's usually a lot more energetic," I said. As if he could understand what I was saying, Marvin let out a small whimper. He was breathing heavily. "I'll be back tomorrow," I said to him. "Stay okay. Just stay." "He's trained?" Bernadette asked. "A little. Let's go before Mom finds out we left. She's having a bad day as it is." "She is?" I said, "I'll explain when we get back up to the hill." Bernadette led the way to the road. She still had on her sweatpants and cleats. I told her to watch out for anything that looked like poop and not to step in it. By the time we climbed up the bank into phase 3, I was out of breath and I thought I was going to get a nosebleed, but I didn't get one. It felt like a personal victory.